know my boundaries. I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass.
I mean, the truth is, Anthony Joshua is far too big, far too powerful, far too young for Jake Paul. He's going to smash him. He's going to knock him the F out. But what a build-up that would be.
Jake Paul has once again stirred up the combat sports world, this time by setting his sights on former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua.
I know
he just got knocked out, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have a chin, and he has no skill, and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends, all this shit, but I want to fight you.
Eddie Hearn reacted to Jake Paul's call-out of Anthony Joshua by acknowledging the idea with a mix of amusement and confidence. He suggested that Joshua would take such a fight lightly, implying that Paul is not on the same level as the former heavyweight champion. Hearn also emphasized that Joshua is willing to fight anyone, reinforcing his reputation as a true competitor.
This is the first time I've spoken about the fight. To be honest, like, I look at it and I think Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua. I mean, look, for me, we'll do it for the banter. Do you know what I mean? Like, AJ would fight Jake Paul. He'd fight anyone, to be honest with you.
He also mentioned that if Paul is serious about the fight, he should be prepared with appropriate insurance. Hearn expressed disappointment over Paul's proposed timeline of 2026, suggesting that if Paul truly wants the fight, it should happen sooner. He conveyed Joshua's readiness, quoting him as saying, "Tell everyone I'll fight anyone, anytime. It's not a problem for me." Paul, a social media star turned professional boxer, has never shied away from making controversial statements to build hype around his fights. Since entering the boxing scene, he has been strategic in choosing his opponents, gradually increasing the level of competition while maintaining the entertainment factor. His call-out of Joshua, however, marks a significant escalation in ambition, as Joshua is a two-time world champion with a wealth of experience at the highest level of the sport. Gareth A. Davies reflected on the moment he saw Jake Paul alongside Mike Tyson and how it immediately made him realize that Paul was continuously looking to elevate his status in boxing. He recalled discussing this observation with others, pointing out that Paul's moves were carefully planned. He believed that after securing moments with legends like Tyson, Paul would soon set his sights on even bigger names in the sport, such as Canelo Alvarez.
No, I thought it, as soon as I went to Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, as soon as that had happened, I was saying to people, I had, you know them, I had Lewis Hart, Oscar Bevis, other people. I was talking to them around a table one day, and I was saying, it'll be Canelo next, watch.
Davies then shifted his focus to Anthony Joshua and how Paul's influence was making established fighters question whether they should entertain such crossover fights. He suggested that Joshua, even if he wasn't openly engaging with Paul's tactics, might have been internally debating whether getting involved in such a spectacle could be beneficial.
He's pressing the flesh, because Anthony Joshua's, not to be impolite to him, scratching his head metaphorically, going, could I play the game with that or not?
While some fans view Paul's comments as mere attention-seeking, others believe he is serious about testing himself against elite competition. His confidence stems from victories over former MMA champions like Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva, and Nate Diaz, but none of those opponents had the size, power, or boxing credentials of someone like Joshua. Jake Paul also expressed confidence in defeating Joshua, citing perceived weaknesses such as a lack of chin, skill, and stiffness. Despite acknowledging their friendship, Paul stated his desire to face Joshua in the ring. Anthony Joshua responded to Paul's challenge with a hint of intrigue. Joshua shared a screenshot of a phone call with Paul on social media, captioning it, "Look who called, 2026, further fueling speculation about the potential match with a shushing emoji." This subtle yet suggestive post indicates Joshua's openness to the proposed fight, further fueling speculation about the matchup. This proposed bout has sparked debates about its impact on the sport's integrity and the potential risks involved, highlighting the challenges of matching fighters from vastly different backgrounds and experience levels. Observers have raised questions about the feasibility of this matchup. Joe Rogan suggested that Paul's proposed timeline might be a strategic move to gain experience and physical development before facing a seasoned heavyweight like Joshua. Additionally, concerns have been voiced regarding the significant size and experience disparity between the two fighters, with Joshua being a former heavyweight champion and Paul still relatively new to professional boxing.
Jake wants to fight Anthony Joshua now? He wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026.
And the haters online are like, yeah, do it.
Well, they're like, what about
make that
now?
happen. Yeah.
They're like, what about fight
it
him
now.
now? He's like, no, I want to wait till 2026. I'm like, okay.
To put on weight.
Put all the steroids, every steroid they
Whatever.
have.
I would want.
Snake
Here's
venom,
the thing. I would
scorpion
watch
venom.
it.
Eddie Hearn discussed Jake Paul's challenge to Anthony Joshua, making it clear that if Paul truly wanted to step up, he would need serious protection in the ring. Hearn found it amusing that Paul suggested 2026 for the fight, comparing it to making a commitment far into the future, which he felt wasn't a serious call-out. He urged Paul to make it happen sooner, saying that at this stage in his career he wouldn't improve much more. Hearn also mentioned that Paul and Joshua had spoken, with Joshua showing no hesitation in accepting the fight.
And if Jake Paul wants to step up and fight Anthony Joshua, he'll need the relevant insurance. But, you know, the only thing that was disappointing was he says 2026. I mean, that's like calling someone out. That's like me saying, you know, LA Olympics for the surfing 2028, I'll be there. Do you know what I mean? Do it in 2025 if you really want to do it. You're not going to get really much better at this stage, but I don't know, those two have spoken. I spoke to AJ this morning, he went, listen.
Hearn elaborated on Joshua's mindset, stating that if asked whether he would fight Jake Paul, Joshua's response was simple. He wouldn't just fight him, he would dominate him. While Joshua saw the fight as an easy challenge, Hearn suggested that he might still take it just for the spectacle. He acknowledged that Paul knows how to create major events, and that a fight between them would generate enormous viewership. However, from a boxing standpoint, Hearn made it clear that there would be no competition between the two.
Yeah, if the question was asked to Jai, would you fight Jake Paul? And there was...
I wouldn't fight him, I'd bash him.
Yeah, but he might do it. He might just do it for, you know, just for doing it for the sake of it. But obviously we know. Listen, Jake creates massive events, right? You know that's going to create like unbelievable viewership, and no disrespect to Jake Paul.
Hearn then touched on Paul's ongoing callouts of top fighters like Canelo Alvarez, saying that Joshua is just another big name on Paul's growing list of challenges. But instead of dismissing the idea outright, he left the door open, stating that if both sides were willing, why not make it happen? He recalled his conversation with Joshua, where he asked what to say when questioned about the fight. Joshua's response was direct. He would fight anyone, anytime, without hesitation.
But, you know, I like this calling out of Canelo and all this. AJ is... It's another challenge up there. But, you know, if they're game, why not?
What did he say, AJ, to you about it?
He said, why not? I said, what do you want me to say when I'm asked about it? And he said, tell everyone I'll fight anyone, anytime. It's not a problem for me.
Joshua is currently focused on reclaiming his position at the top of the heavyweight division. Having recently secured an impressive knockout victory over Francis Ngannou, he has been linked to potential fights against Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and Alexander Usyk. Given that level of opposition, a bout against Jake Paul seems unlikely from a competitive standpoint, but the financial appeal of such a fight cannot be ignored. The boxing world is divided on whether a showdown between Paul and Joshua would be good for the sport. Some purists argue that a fight between a social media influencer and a former heavyweight champion would undermine the legitimacy of boxing. Others, however, acknowledge the entertainment value and the potential financial windfall such a matchup could generate. Dave Coldwell discussed Jake Paul's approach to the boxing business and praised his ability to navigate the world of entertainment and self-promotion. He pointed out that Paul is not just a fighter, but a strategic businessman who understands how to use social media and marketing to his advantage. Coldwell acknowledged that Paul's moves are calculated, allowing him to stay relevant and continuously build his brand even beyond traditional boxing circles.
Jake Paul has been very, very clever. He's a very astute businessman. And in the world of views, social media, and self-PR, he's an absolute genius, and I rate him. I really do. And I think he's somebody that, you know, he's got...
Coldwell also emphasized Paul's resilience when it comes to handling criticism. He admired Paul's ability to ignore negative opinions and focus on his goals without getting distracted. According to Coldwell, Paul has developed an exceptionally thick skin, which allows him to push forward regardless of public scrutiny. He highlighted that Paul is fully aware of his actions and their impact, showing confidence in his decisions.
You know, he's got ultra thick rhinoceros skin that he doesn't care what anybody has to say that's disparaging, that's negative. He doesn't care. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing for his life, and he'll just go with it. And you look at his life, look at, you know, the money he's earned, the profile, everything that he's wanted to do.
Paul has consistently used social media and trash talk to his advantage. And this latest call-out is no different. By targeting Joshua, he is not only keeping himself relevant, but also positioning himself for a potential mega fight that would draw significant pay-per-view numbers. His business acumen has been evident throughout his boxing career, as he has successfully promoted his own events and built a dedicated fan base. Dave Coldwell made it clear that there was no real competition between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. He stressed that if the fight were to happen, Joshua would dominate with ease, making it a one-sided and brutal contest. He dismissed any notion that Paul could challenge a world-class heavyweight like Joshua, reinforcing the massive gap in experience and skill between them. He claimed, Anthony Joshua would take his head clean off. It would be brutal. And the disrespect on AJ's name from some people out there saying he could beat him. Shut up. He's not. Coldwell further criticized those who believe Jake Paul has a legitimate chance against Joshua. He pointed out that Paul has yet to defeat a high-level professional boxer, let alone someone of Joshua's caliber. He insisted that people should not entertain unrealistic comparisons, as Joshua operates at a completely different level in the sport. He added, he's not beaten a legitimate, proper professional fighter yet, so don't tell me that he's going to beat or has any chance of beating Anthony Joshua. Jake Paul's rise from social media star to professional boxer has sparked debate across the combat sports world. While his ability to generate massive viewership is unquestionable, his recent fight with Mike Tyson reportedly drew over 100 million streams. His level of competition remains a point of contention. Stepping into the ring against Anthony Joshua would mark a dramatic leap from his previous opponents, who have mostly been former athletes and influencers rather than elite heavyweights in their prime. Despite Paul's confidence, many remain skeptical about whether he can hold his own against a former world champion. When asked about Jake Paul's potential fight with Anthony Joshua, Jai Opetaia made it clear that he had no interest in the topic. As a fighter focused on securing world titles and aiming for unification bouts, he saw discussions about Paul as a distraction from the serious business of elite boxing. Opetaia's response reflected the mindset of many top-level professionals who view Paul's presence in the sport as more of a spectacle than a legitimate challenge. He said, I don't know why we're talking about him honestly. I'm chasing world titles up here. I'm waiting for a unification phone call, so fuck him. The WADE concept also addressed the public's tendency to dismiss Paul's bold statements, noting that many assume he's just seeking attention. However, in this particular case, he believed Paul was serious about taking on Joshua and not merely hyping himself up. He quoted, I know that the internet doesn't believe when Jake Paul says something that he means it. I happen to believe that when he says it, at least in this case, he means it. Beyond just his in-ring abilities, Jake Paul has mastered the art of promotion and public perception. The WADE concept emphasized that Paul understands how to sell a fight, strategically using social media to fuel speculation. He pointed to Paul's recent post, a screenshot of a call with someone labeled Anthony Joshua, which surfaced just as rumors of the potential fight gained traction. Additionally, Joshua's cryptic Instagram story only added to the buzz, leading many to wonder if the fight was actually in the works.
He means it. Jake is a master marketer, and he's also a master manipulator of people's idea of what combat sports should be and is and how he brings it all together. So when he posts a picture like this 10 hours ago or right after this news kind of hit the airwaves this morning on Twitter of him talking to Anthony Joshua or someone whose name says Anthony Joshua on a phone for 3 minutes there, and then Anthony Joshua posting Jake Paul in his story saying 2026, the Eagles landing and the fists, and then you even go as far.
For Joshua, the prospect of fighting Paul may not be appealing from a sporting perspective, but the financial incentives could be too lucrative to ignore. Fights involving Paul have historically generated massive pay-per-view sales, and a showdown with Joshua would likely be one of the biggest spectacles in combat sports history. Darren Barker expressed disbelief at the idea of Jake Paul facing someone like Anthony Joshua, emphasizing the massive gap in skill and experience. He used himself as an example, pointing out that despite being retired for over a decade, he still believed he could beat Paul with minimal preparation.
Can't happen. Let's put this in perspective, right? I've been on the couch for 10 years, 11 years, right? And I'm not saying this because I want to fight Jake Paul, I wouldn't. But I would beat Jake Paul. I'm sorry, I would. You know, you might laugh, but you give me 10 weeks training, I wouldn't even need 10 weeks really. Like, I believe, like, I've just been around boxing my whole life. He's a big lump though, and if he was to hit me, I could be in trouble. But
Darren Barker doubled down on his stance. Fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua would be completely one-sided. He dismissed any notion of competitiveness, stating that if Joshua wanted to end the fight in the first round, he would do so with ease. Barker's reaction highlighted how absurd he found the idea, even suggesting that it was the most ridiculous question he had ever been asked. He claimed he would destroy him in a round or two. Well, it wouldn't even go beyond the round, would it? If AJ wanted to put him away in the first round, he gets put away in the first round. Stupid. I don't think you'll ever ask me a more stupid question ever. I know it's topical and it's current, but silly. The boxing community's response has been divided. While some are intrigued by the spectacle, others question whether such a fight holds any real competitive merit. Given the vast difference in experience between Joshua and Paul, discussions across platforms like Reddit have echoed skepticism, with many doubting that Paul stands a real chance against a seasoned professional of Joshua's caliber. No matter what people think of Jake Paul as a boxer, one thing is undeniable. He pulls an audience. Whether fans tune in to see him win or hope to watch him lose, his ability to generate attention is unmatched. From YouTube to pay-per-view boxing, Paul has built a following that ensures his fights are major events. Even against experienced fighters, his name alone guarantees high viewership. Chad Ochochinko Johnson shared his thoughts on Jake Paul's rise in boxing, emphasizing how Paul has masterfully positioned himself as the villain in the sport. Johnson pointed out that Paul has built his brand around people wanting to see him lose, which has, in turn, generated massive attention and financial success. He acknowledged that while many criticize Paul, his approach to marketing and self-promotion has been highly effective, allowing him to thrive in the fight game. He claimed, "He's created himself and made himself the villain. He's made himself the villain, and the fact that everybody's tuning in to see him lose, he's in a great space, and he's in a great lane. So what he's doing it the right way. He's doing it the right way." Jake Paul's ability to command attention in the boxing world is undeniable. Whether you love him or hate him, he keeps the conversation going and the numbers don't lie. As the debate continues about his future in the sport, one thing is certain, he knows exactly how to stay in the spotlight. But what do you think? Is Jake Paul a real threat in the boxing world, or is he just a master marketer playing the game? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more fight news and analysis.